Kevin. Catherine, Jill, James. Okay, so today we're going to focus on the second two-thirds of move number two and go through this in great detail. We sort of flashed over it yesterday, but we'll practice it today. But let's practice what we have worked on so far. So you all can follow me, and then I'm going to have I'll do it 2 or 3 times, and then I'll ask each of you to do it. Jill, why don't you lead us in one?
Okay.
Good. So when you guys lead, when I watch you, I'm going to be thinking about things, and so I may make some comments. The fact that I'm making comments doesn't mean I'm making comments about you. It's just it just reminds me of something as we go through. So a couple points, and one of them actually is about Jill, but the first two are not. When you do a move, actually this is true for any move, but when you do a move like this, right? Well, there's a lot of force going down, right? There's got to be a countervailing force. For any action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. So where is it? All right? Where's the countervailing force, Jill?
You mean, well,
The force is coming down. There must be a force going up. Where's the force going up?
in your tangent, no?
Yeah, your central column. It's
Yeah.
not just your tangent. Yes, you do come up to the tangent, but in fact, you go all the way to the ba way and even higher outside the body.
Well,
Which
then,
means here's the wrong way to do this. All right, this is wrong. All right, don't lose your inner pole. You've got to keep that strong, or else your descending energy will be weak too. They're either both strong or they're both weak. That's the thing, right? So pay attention to that. What was the other one? Oh, I don't remember. But the one for Jill, everybody, when they move, has habits. All right? It's kind of styles of movement. And there's nothing wrong with styles of movements except when they're unconscious. All right? And everybody has those, including me. All right? But Jill, you've got to pay attention to your elbows and shoulders. So when you do this movement, all right, you are raising your shoulders and also extending your elbows.
mhm,
What it means when you do that is that there's some stiffness in the joints, and that's if you were doing push hands, that means you're going to go out on your butt. All right? You've got to keep your elbows down, right? The elbows point toward the ground. All right? They rarely raise up. Rarely. All right? If you have to raise your arm, you can raise your arm. Just keep your elbow pointed down. All right? When you raise your arm, don't raise your shoulder. Just raise your arm. How do you raise your arm? You expand the dantian. Boom. All right? But the arms stay soft. And, I sort of when I'm illustrating this, I probably get a little floppy. It's not that they're floppy, but all right, watch. They're pointed down. Boom. All right? When you the whole business about raising your elbows and shoulders is very common. Everybody does it. The reason, another way to explain why you don't want to do it is that tension that it creates in the body, that stress, cuts your efficiency. So instead of having 100% efficiency, maybe you've only got 70% efficiency. So you end up kind of fighting yourself without even realizing it. You got to be careful about fighting yourself without even realizing it. All right. Okay. Catherine, let me see you do it. Now, I don't know. Can you all see each other clearly?
Yeah.
Yes?
oh,
No, notice that when Catherine is standing back and she's going to do this, She happens to have the camera in the perfect place right now. So I can see her whole body, including her feet. And that's important to be able to see that because otherwise I'm a little, boom. So Jill, I could not see your feet.
Oh,
It would help to be able to see your feet. Catherine, go for it.
Okay.
Good. Okay, I remembered what I was going to say before. When you finish the first move, um, you're going to be sinking into the ground. And you guys who have been in the class for a while know this, but James doesn't. And it's something you should just gently start to incorporate as time goes on. When you sink into the ground, you always end up sinking twice. The first sink, right, that is the first lowering to the ground, is to finish the move you're doing. The second one is to wind up to do the next move. So watch. 1, 2, boom, and so on. Now I'm really sort of exaggerating it a little bit, but right. 1, 2. Give yourself a count of 2, because the winding up it's exactly like in baseball, right? If you want to hit the ball, you've got to wind up. If you don't wind up, well, you may hit the ball, but it ain't going to go very far. Right? Finish the move. Wind up for the next move. Boom. Hold on a minute. Okay, James. Good. Okay, so this is Jim's first time through the form. So what he should be working on is exactly what he was working on. Just get the basic choreography. You've got to have something to work with, and getting the basic choreography the first time through the first form is probably the hardest thing you're ever going to do in Tai Chi. So I'm not going to drill down on what he's doing because there's no point. He's doing fine. Jill, how many times have you been through the form?
Hmm. Maybe like 4 times.
4 times. And Catherine, how many times have you been through the form so far? Twice. Okay, so once you've been through it for a few times, you should have that basic choreography, and then we start working on the details. So the kind of stuff that I was talking about with Jill's shoulders and elbows and et cetera, et cetera. You just keep refining and refining and refining this. But there's no sense doing super refining right at the beginning. You just got to get the basics down first, right? So, okay, looks to me like everybody's got these first couple of moves. They could certainly be refined, but they're there. Now let's go on to the last 2/3 of move number 2. And just to refresh your memory, the first third is a clockwise circle followed by a counterclockwise circle, and then 1, 2. That's the first third. Let's go on to the second third. The basic idea of the second third is to shift your attention from this quarter here to this quarter here. All right? And then you're going to move forward and do a few moves. So let's go through that really simply. It's a challenging move. It's a physically challenging move to do it correctly. You can certainly do a version of this for 18-year-olds. You can also do a version of it for 78 years old. And we're going to do that little simpler version of this. So I've started out here, right? All my weight is on the right. Right? All my weight is on the right. I'm just balancing on my left foot here. Right? And then I'm going to raise my knee a little bit, and I'm going to step back and then out. You got to get this step right because the next movement depends on it. And if your structure is wrong, you'll lose your balance. So let me do it from the proper position here, right? Step up a little, step back, step out. Right? Now, you'll know you've done this correctly if you turn your right foot in and then draw it up even with your left foot, and you're just standing there with a good sturdy stance, but it's just kind of normal, like you're standing and talking to somebody. What most people do is they end up like this. They don't step back far enough. They just step back a little bit and then put their foot out, and then when they try to turn, they end up falling over themselves to the left. If they were to turn their right foot and draw it forward, they'd actually run into their left heel. It's too narrow. However, it can also be too big, right? You can step back like this and step out. And now it's very difficult to turn because you're just too wide. So the horse stance, especially a high horse stance, is your heels, your feet, are about shoulder width apart. Right? So it's very sturdy. So again, lower body, lift the knees slightly, step back, and then step out. Now, look at yourself. Have you got some distance? Have you got your pelvis open? Have you got some distance between your heels? Right? Bring your weight to the left foot, turn your right toes in, and step forward and see if you end up in a good position. If you do, that's good lower body. Now the upper body. What's the upper body doing? Well, your foot is going out this way, right? Your foot is going back and out this way. Your upper body is going the exact opposite direction. So it looks like this. Watch, guys. I'm going to do it a little bit more martially. All right? You're pushing. This motion here causes this motion to happen. Or you can say it another way, just like we did say it. If you're going to push energy in this direction, there has to be something going the opposite direction. Because for every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. So to make a strong push to the right, it helps to have your leg move out. Now, can you do it without moving your legs? Yes, you can. Once you're more advanced and you know how to do it inside. But still, even for an advanced person, that's a much stronger push. Now, we're not going to do it fast, but that gives you the idea. So, I'll do it first in this direction and then in that direction. Right? Here's the end of the first third. Lift the foot just a little bit, lift the knee just a little, step back and out and push at the same time. Now, one of the things you may notice is in order to do that push well, your weight is now going to be on the right leg. Even though I'm moving my left leg, there's no weight on it. So my whole balance is on the right leg, which means you need to keep your hip joint flexed. Don't lock and raise the hip up, because if you do, you're going to lose your balance. Instead, watch this. All right, so the hip joint is right here. All right, watch. It's flexed, it's down. It's easy when you think to push to extend everything. Oh, but what you're doing is stretching the hip joint open, and you don't want to do that. In fact, you want it a little bit closed. So your lower body is flexing.
So
Jill, yes,
your
Catherine?
your weight is on both legs or on?
No, the weight stays on the right leg.
Oh, at the end of the move, your weight is only on the right.
Yeah, there's like 5% on the left.
Yeah. Okay.
The left is giving you some balance, all right? And it's giving you some energy, but your weight is not on it. All right, which again is why you need to stay flexed in the right hip joint. Okay, that's the first little thing. That's a lot of details, but you have to practice it a little bit. So let's practice. And again. And again. And again. And Jill, let me see you do it.
Okay. Oh,
That's good. Okay, Catherine. Yeah, keep your weight to the right. Good. No weight on the left at all. Jim. Okay, now when you first push, you're looking at this guy because you're pushing this guy, right? So I'm here, right? And boom. I should be looking right over my own hands at the guy I'm just pushing. And then something happens that's quite unusual in Tai Chi. You're going to leave your hands floating in the air and move your eyes somewhere else. Watch. This stays floating because now it's blocking. First you hit and then you block in case the guy hits at you again. But you know you're going to move and you have to look at where you're going to move. You can't move there without looking because there may be some guy there ready to clobber you. So you've got to look. Hit that guy, stay there and block, and then look. This is where I'm going. So it's very discreet. Now, the next part of this move is a big circle. Watch. All right. That is what kind of circle, Jill?
shoe circle.
What?
Shoe. Shoe.
Shoe. A shoe circle, exactly. Shoe is spelled X-U. It's pronounced like your shoe, but it's X-U. It's a side-to-side circle. However, there are little variations in it. You know, the ideal shoe circle rarely, if ever, happens. It's always got a little ping in it. It's always got a little li in it. Watch my Dan Chen. Watch it. Okay. First of all, don't think the circle is about moving your hands. It's not. It's about moving this. So you can get down into this by realizing you need to go underneath it. All right? In fact, this exercise right here, rocking the baby from hip joint to hip joint, is a really important exercise. When you move your weight in Tai Chi, that's how you do it. Now, there are some places where you go over. But the higher level way of doing it is to go under as you go over. So it literally splits and goes like this. You've got to keep that rocking motion. Why? Jill, why? Why do you have to keep this rocking motion?
I don't know. It's the fundamental way that your dantian wants to move. It's
Yes, but what else does it do?
oh, uh,
Takes
uh,
less takes less time.
Less time is quicker. When
Yeah.
you go over, it takes a long time.
oh,
This is much quicker. But what else does it do?
Sinking.
Thinking,
Sinking. And what does sinking do?
Root you
grounding.
yeah, root you to the ground.
It roots you to the ground.
uh,
Whatever you're going to do in Tai Chi, you're going to use the ground. And that's just athletics. It's nothing special about Tai Chi, right? What's special about Tai Chi is being aware that you're going to use the ground and constantly recruiting it. So when I shift, the first thing I'm going to do when I do this big circle is I'm going to sink in the right hip joint. Sink to where? Sink to the ground. And I'm going to be conscious of that because your chi goes where your mind goes. That's just the way it works. All right? It always works that way. So you need to be aware of where your mind is. All right? I'm going down to the ground. Now, when I first started learning, and I'm sure it'll be this way for you too, you have to really focus on that. This is a discipline. It's a contemplative discipline, right? And it requires some real focus. But as you get used to this, it's much lighter. Right? But you're still going to sink. You're going to sink into the ground. And then you're going to transfer your weight to the other side by rocking the baby. Boom. Now, the whole procedure of shifting my weight, I have not lost contact with the ground. Right? I sink, I transfer my weight. Boy, that feels really solid. And that's what it needs to be, right? This is another place where having some experience in the martial arts would help. We ever get together, we'll do some push hands. Suppose I'm pushing hands with somebody and I shift my weight, let's say from my left to my right, because this guy's here, we're doing a little push hands. Push hands is just a learning regime, right? I shift my weight, but I don't rock. Instead, I come up or over, or I just sort of go sideways. If the guy's any good, he will feel through his hands that I am no longer in contact with the ground energetically. And he will be right. And what he will be able to do is, they call it in China, he will throw me away. Because I'm not standing on anything any longer. So he's just going to push me and I'm going to fall over. Versus I'm still in contact with the ground, he tries to push me and my legs can act like springs into the ground. And absorb, boom, absorb that, boom, and push back. But in order to do that, you've got to have contact with the ground. So, right? The first big circle. Step back, step out, turn and look, sink into your right hip, rock the baby. Now you're on your left hip, and now you're going to pung. Well, if you're going to pung, you're expanding. One way to think of that expansion is from the dantian, so it's 360 degrees like a sphere. But there's also an expansion that happens from the ground. So if I've lost contact with the ground and I try to pung and I don't have a grounding, the pung is going to be really weak. And the guy might be standing out here like this, choking me. I want to come up under his arms and lift him. That means I need some power. Power is different from strength. Yes, it's nice to have strength, but you can be strong as hell and have no power. Power is the ability to use your strength. So one of the things you have to know, the main thing you have to know to bring your strength out, right, is how to use your power. All right? For every action, there must be an equal and opposite reaction. All right? I've got to be rooted in the ground on that foot. And you need to do this in a way that is effortless and graceful. And the only way to get to the place where it's effortless and graceful is to practice this for about 10 years or so. Truly, 10 years. All right? Sink in the right quad. Rock the baby. Right? Pung. Lu. On. Right back where you started from. Now, pung. Lu, wait a minute. Isn't that going over? Well, yeah, it is going over. You are going over your Dan Qian. When someone just begins, one of the places where they will lose contact with the ground is when they go over. Because they haven't thought yet, oh, well, gee, you know, if I'm lifting my chi up above my Dan Qian, right, I'm pulling my own roots out of the ground. Boom. Well, that doesn't work very well. Well, what could I do? Well, what you could do is both things at the same time. You're going to come over, but you're also going to go under. All right, so it goes like this. You keep rocking the baby, even though you're going over at the same time. So, Jim, this is much more advanced than just the basic stuff that you should be learning. Pick up what you can, but don't worry about it because you're going to hear this over and over. Master Jean, the biggest, I'll tell you a true story. The biggest breakthrough I ever had in Tai Chi was one day doing a private lesson with Master Jean, and he told me something, and it was like the light went on in my head, and we did something, and it completely changed everything I was doing. Now, here's the point of the story. I'm not even going to tell you what it was, but the point of the story is this. That wasn't the first time he told me. He had told me that 99 times before, but I wasn't ready to hear it. All right? You have to keep practicing, and the teacher has to keep telling you the same things over and over and over and over until you're ready. And you might be ready on Tuesday, or you might be ready on Thursday. We don't know, right? You just have to keep going with the learning process. It's just like learning to play a keyboard. The teacher can tell you, oh, do this or that, or finger it this way, right, or cross your hands or whatever. If you're not ready, you're not ready, all right? It's just going to keep telling you and keep telling you and keep telling you until you are ready. So don't hyperventilate about the fact that most of this stuff that I'm talking about right now is really for Jill and for Catherine, but the basics underneath, right? All right, one more. Weight on the right, step out, all right, look toward the right. Now turn and look toward the left. Sink into the right hip joint. Rock the baby to the left hip joint. Pung, Lu, and on. Now you're right back where you began. Now comes the challenging part. You've got to stretch out now and do a ping circle. This is physically more challenging than anything we've done so far. It's actually a pretty challenging move. All right. In order to do it well, comfortably, you have to flex your hip joints and open your pelvis. Watch. You have to sink in your right hip joint again, right? And then I'm going to transfer my weight to the left, but look how big my knees are getting, right? They're opening like this. You don't lower your body by bending over. You lower your body by opening your knees, right? And that means it's a little challenging. You don't have to go down a long way, but you have to go down enough that you can unlock your daimai around your waist. You see this, I should get some yellow tape. I've got some yellow tape somewhere, all right? How can there be no end to this?
Yet you see people solve Rubik's Cubes in 10 seconds or less.
They've got I've seen, Kevin, a machine. It's a machine that does the Rubik's Cube. I don't even know how it works, but I mean, they're doing it. They put the Rubik's Cube in this machine, 1/10 of a second. Okay, this is your daimai. The daimai is the only horizontal energy channel in the body. All the rest of them run the length of the body. But the daimai goes around the waist. And the daimai determines the direction of the body. All right? So I'm going to sink in the right hip joint. And now I'm going to use the daimai to determine the direction. And that's what makes the ping circle. This is important to get. The ping circle is not made from the shoulder. It's made by shifting your weight and turning your waist. You notice my shoulder's not even moving. My waist is moving. Sink. Shift your weight to the left and turn your daimai. What you're doing, I think I said this yesterday, somebody's kicking at your knee, right? Somebody's kicking at your knee here, and what you're going to do is block them. You're going to block them. Block. The reason you don't want to just use your arm is your arm's not very strong. The guy's leg is 5 times bigger than your arm, and he's coming in with some power. So you have to meet his power with your power, not your strength, but your power. Huh? And that means you use your trunk. Boom, 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 boom. One, sink, rock the baby, pong, sink, boom, boom. Watch my left toes. I'm going to let my toes open a little bit so that I can turn my daimai. All right, now your hands should be like this. It's just like a balancing pole. Guy on a tightrope walker, all right? In fact, we can use this crack in the floor. That's the tight wire. Walk through. Walk through. Walk through. Walk through. The important part of walking through is the left hand. The whole right side of your body is walking forward. Boom. Boom. That's a lot of weight. Where's your counterweight? It's this. You reach out and pull it back in. How can one little forearm counterbalance the whole right side of your body? It has to do with leverage. When you have a small weight suspended at a distance from your body, it's a lot more than a small weight. All right? So if this is, if this is 120 pounds moving forward here, all right, this may not be 120 pounds, but it's more than just the weight of your forearm, which is, I don't know, maybe 15 pounds or something. Relax. 1, 2, 3. All right. We're done with time. We'll do the final third of this movement next Saturday. I'll send each of you the links to this because I'm not sure you're going back and checking on them. But once I get the editing done for this session, I'll send you the links for yesterday and today, and just practice a little bit. And we'll do the final third. Well, we'll finish the middle third. We'll do the final third. And we've done these two moves very slowly. I don't know whether you've noticed or not, but you should have, I'm sure you have had, picked up a lot of information already. Because all these things I'm talking about are basic principles. And once you sort of get the idea, when you get the idea that if you're going to push energy out this way, something's got to go out the other way. It's always true for every movement. So that little piece of information you can factor into your learning process as we go through the whole movement of the form. All right? Press elbow, or as Master Feng would do it, boom, right? That's downward going energy. Where's the upward going energy, Jill? Where's the upward going energy? If you read articles and books in English on that upward going energy, they'll usually define it as suspending the head top. Okay, well, I understand what they're trying to get at, but that's suspending the head tops. You're sort of like a Christmas tree ornament, suspended from the head top. In fact, they use this. Grab a little hair and you suspend your head top. There's a kind of lightness that happens, and that's true. But that's not how it's done. It's done by bringing energy from the dantian up to the top of the head. Boom. It's called Shuling Dingjing. Raise your chi to the top of your head. Boom. It's something that happens inside, not outside. Okay, guys, have yourselves a great day. We'll finish this up next Saturday.